I just saw my husband yesterday and he like took his jersey off and gave it to a fan.
Okay. You saw the abs.
Yes.
And you were like, oof.
I'm like, what the fuck? It's so weird to me that he looks like that.
So at what age does it start? The
I
programming, the core memory development.
If I'm remembering correctly, between ages 2 and 7.
Oh gosh.
Are like
realizing that putting yourself out there before you were at your idealized vision and state of how you want things. I mean, I hear from so many people that want to start a podcast and they're like, oh, but I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the right backdrop. It doesn't matter. First of all, at the beginning, no one's going to be listening. So take comfort in that. I mean, that's real, right? My mom is constantly giving me advice about everything. I mean, the thing that she always has like ingrained in me, whether I was working in corporate or working for myself, is to know my worth and to never settle for something that is less than what you deserve. Oh, this person's difficult. And then I'll say, why are they difficult? And they say, oh, well, we worked with her and she demanded a hotel room and a glam squad. And I'm like, as she should.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes women of color are deemed difficult for asking for what is essentially like the bare minimum or to be expected. So who are you with when you feel most like yourself?
I love that question.
Wow.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Do Tell Relationship Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Westbrook, and you are in store for an incredible episode with the lovely Brooke DeVard of Naked Beauty Podcast. I cannot wait for you to hear all the gems she's dropping on the pod today. First, I would like to acknowledge my own new Bob. I'm very excited about it. Normally, I'm a side part gal, but I'm going middle part for those of you that can see. And I don't know, I'm wondering what is that? Is that a millennial thing or a Gen Z thing? I'm not sure, but I heard that the middle part is definitely what younger people want to do. And I am now understanding why, because I really enjoy this. So let's talk a little bit about today's guest. Brooke DeVard is someone who knows a thing or two about beauty, storytelling, and carving out her own space on her own terms, which is something I am actively trying to do all the time. Brooke DeVard is the creator of Naked Beauty Podcast, which she launched in 2016, well before everyone was doing podcasts, when she realized that there weren't enough real, unfiltered conversations about beauty, especially from the perspective of women of color. Since then, she's interviewed over 300 guests and thought leaders, built a loyal community, and just launched her own fragrance, Naked Beauty. Beyond the podcast, Brooke's background is just as impressive. She worked in marketing and social media at major brands like Ralph Lauren, Viacom, and Instagram. She's a mom, community builder, and a creative force. You're in store for a really fun episode. Join me in welcoming Brooke DeVard. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
the lovely
you.
Brooke DeVard of Naked Beauty Podcast and Naked Beauty Fragrance,
yes,
which I'm so lucky to have one now. Welcome to Do Tell.
I'm so excited to be here. I've been loving what you've been doing with the show, and I'm excited to have this beauty conversation.
Yes.
I'm normally on the other side. So.
I know. It's so good because we're going to jump into it. There's so many. I'm not a big beauty chick.
Okay.
Like, I'm a simple kind of
come on.
Beauty.
I've seen your glam moments. You were just on the red carpet for Vanity Fair. Don't underplay it.
No. Yes. I when I need to step up my game, okay. I enjoy doing that. I think it's fun. But I also just prefer like a natural, I don't know. I buy all the beauty products, but my thing is like, face creams. Like, I'm into skincare.
How
about that?
Love skincare.
Less makeup, more skincare. Yeah. Because the better my skin, the less makeup I feel like I need to wear.
Absolutely. But you're like hair done, nails done. Are these lash extensions? You're a beauty girl.
Okay.
You're underselling. You're a beauty girl.
Call me out, Brooke. Okay. So before we get started,
yes.
we're going to play a little game. This is new to this season. It's called Walk Away or Walk Through It.
Okay.
It's like a rapid fire, but it's a little more fun. And we're going to go. And I'm going to read these questions.
Okay.
So, parenting advice from someone who doesn't have children. Walk away or walk through it?
Walk away.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you need the context of having children to give advice.
Yes.
And even parents, I don't think should be giving parenting advice.
Ding, ding, ding. Robert's really excited to hear that story. Okay, so this is what we talked about before because I read this question to him and he was laughing. I, as someone who did not have children, worked with many families in therapeutic settings and clinics where I was giving them parenting advice. And I always felt weird about it, even though I was a trained professional and the things that I was saying was right. But it's just still weird when you don't have kids and you're telling other people whatever. Anyhow, totally agree. You're invited to collab with someone whose work you admire, but they have a reputation for being difficult. Walk away or walk through it.
Walk through it. Because who's the source on their reputation being difficult? I have heard from people, oh, this person's difficult. And then I'll say, why are they difficult? And they say, oh, well, we worked with her and she demanded a hotel room and a glam squad. And I'm like, as she should.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes women of color are deemed difficult for asking for what is essentially like the bare minimum or to be expected. So one, it's like, what's the source on this person being difficult? And then you have to build your own experience with someone before you take someone else's advice. Now, if you do work with them and they are difficult, then, you don't necessarily have to go back to that. But you got to have your own experience.
Right. I love that so much. And, if you do work with them and they do end up being difficult, you learn from it and you grow from it. But different personalities are different, mesh differently.
Yes.
So anyhow, someone else's negative experience doesn't mean that you're going to have a negative experience.
Absolutely. I will also say, and I'm sure you found this with your podcast as well, the more established the talent is, like the people that I've interviewed, like Pharrell Williams or Gabrielle Union, they're so kind, they're on time, they're easy to work with. And then you realize you are successful because you are easy to work with and people like working with you. Someone like a John Legend, easy to work with, not difficult. And it's like they wouldn't be at where they are in their career if they were difficult.
Absolutely.
So it's like sometimes you're like, oh, this is like this A-list person. It's going to be, and it's like, no, actually, I have found that. And I'm sure, do you find the same thing?
Yeah. It's so funny. You asked me about Vanity Fair and what it was like at the party. And I found that people are kind.
Yes.
Despite whatever success someone has. And I feel like kindness comes with confidence and self-assurance. So if you're assured of yourself and you have confidence in who you are, then there aren't many reasons why you wouldn't extend kindness to someone else, right?
Yes.
So I totally agree. And this is good. This is going to be a great conversation. I'm really excited already. Let's do two more. So a longtime friend supports you privately, but never shows up to your big moments publicly. Walk away or walk through it.
Walk through it. Does she have social anxiety? Does she have kids at home? Does she not? I mean, I have lived in LA for 2 years now. I still don't know how to drive, which is really shameful. But there are certain things I just can't make it to. People invite me to something in downtown LA, like, I want to be there. I'm with you in spirit. I try my best, but walk through it, definitely.
Good. I love that. And it's so funny. I have other friends from other places like New York and elsewhere who also don't drive, and they've been living here for far longer than you have. So
I have a community.
Don't feel bad about it. Yeah.
Put us on a group chat.
Okay, last question. You finally set aside time for a solo or self-care day. It could be spa, journaling, whatever, or doing nothing, right?
Okay.
And a friend or partner guilt trips you for not making plans with them. Walk away or walk through it.
No, I'm going to keep my self-care date. So would that be
That's a walk away?
That's a walk away. I'm gonna keep my commitment to myself.
Yeah.
Not allow someone else to project their guilt onto me. And I'm going to keep that date to myself. I think that's really important.
I think so too. And it's so interesting because I've been on this, prioritize myself journey for quite some time. But I realized in the journey that I was not taking care of myself as much as I was prioritizing what I wanted. So I had to start aligning the two in order to be where I am today. So I'm with you. I'm not giving up my one time for myself to go hang out or watch a movie I don't want to see or something.
And as moms, I think it's rare that we do that we do block off time to just take care of ourselves. So you really can't let anything get in the way of that.
Value that. Yes. It's priorities.
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. That was fun. Yes. I like that. Walk away or walk through it. I'm going to start thinking about that as I encounter situations in my life.
Yes. I love that. Okay. So I have so many questions for you, and I'm not someone who memorizes, and all my questions are so good that I'm going to read them to you.
Please.
But really, I'm just interested to know, like, their beauty trends are constantly changing, and we're both brown girls, Black girls, and the beauty, like in the world of beauty, I don't have to explain to you, but there isn't always a space for us. And so I feel like, how do you, or have you ever had to overcome that have you ever questioned your own self-image, and have you ever struggled with feeling like you had to conform to certain beauty standards, and then how did you navigate that?
Such a good question. In terms of having to conform to other beauty standards, remarkably, it wasn't something I struggled with. And it's remarkable considering how I grew up. So I went to an all-girls private school on the Upper East Side. There were no when I joined the class, I was the first Black girl to join the class. Very few Black women in that space in those formative years, middle school, high school, where you're really like coming into your own and you have notions about what's beautiful. But I think it's because my parents worked so hard at affirming for me at home what Black beauty was. We always had Essence magazine on the table. I always played with Black Barbies. I say that my mom and my grandmother were my first beauty icons. I always understood that Black was something that was beautiful. And I think because my parents knew the environment I was going to be in, they offset it.
Right.
So they were like, we're not throwing you into the deep end without teaching you how to swim. So we're going to equip you for this environment where some people may think that you are less than, where you may not be the standard of beauty, and at home make sure that you understand that you absolutely are. So I really credit my parents, my mother, my grandmother, the women I had around me with making sure that that wasn't something I had to struggle with.
Right. That's really, really interesting because I feel like we kind of had a similar upbringing. I went to predominantly white schools when I was growing up, and I always felt like my dad and my brothers, I didn't have a big support system of women around me, but I had 3 brothers, and I had my dad and I had my mom. So we were kind of the minority in the group, the women. And when I tell you how sick I used to be of my dad telling me how amazing I was all the time.
No, but it's so important, right?
It's so important, because when you have that sense of self and that confidence, it doesn't really matter what room you go into, what anyone looks like, or if you feel like you have a community within that space. You kind of learn to navigate and connect with people on a deeper level. And just knowing always how important you are. So that's really good. And I credit my family to that.
Yes.
To making sure to instill that in me also.
So important that your family instills that. But I also look now as a parent, I think also as you become a parent, you realize the parenting things that were done right that you didn't realize at the time. But I think I also learned from my parents not to put such a premium on looks and beauty. Even when I was a little girl and people would say, oh, your daughter's so beautiful, they would say, oh, and she's very smart too, right? They always made sure not to focus things on the way that you look, because that's essentially not something you can control.
Right.
And I'm sure you see in therapy all the time, a lot of people's self-esteem issues, and you would know this, so you educate me, come from childhood, right?
I mean, we become the people, like who we become is solely and greatly based on our environment and growing up. And that's why it's so important to teach our children these important lessons that they're always going to remember and take with them, right? If they have negative experiences, those negative experiences they're going to hold on to, those core memories. And that's the developmental time when their brains are just absorbing everything. It's so much easier to let things in when you're younger, and so much harder to retrain that thinking pattern once we become older. Think about it, and then as when we become our age, then it gets really challenging because we're managing so much and have so many responsibilities, and it just becomes like, a big mess.
So at what age does it start? The programming, the core memory development.
If I'm remembering correctly, between ages 2 and 7 are like the main developmental years where if you tell your kid you are this, you're amazing, you're smart, you're a great friend, you're a good person, and you deserve the world, then that's the time you want to do it. Okay. Because then once they get older and their friends start to get a little more influence over them, and then they have to start learning how to navigate the outside environment, you want them to have those core beliefs already set in place. And so that it just makes it a little bit easier. Like, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. People always complain about like babies, like they're so challenging. And I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh.
These things are like, give me 20 of these. Like they just
sleep and they eat and that's it. That's all I have a 3-month-old and a 4-year-old. So I feel like I'm really living the like newborn versus toddler phase. I mean, the toddler phase is great because they can communicate, right? But yeah, the newborn stage is just bliss.
Simple. I mean, either they got to go to the bathroom or they have to eat or they want to go to sleep.
Yeah, even the bathroom, they've got a diaper. Like, I don't even have to think about it. It's like change a diaper, feed, put down for a nap.
That's it.
A 90-minute wake window.
Right.
Yeah.
And now as they become more complex and they start to question who they are, that's when the real work sets in, and trying to model and be the parent you want to be and teach them how to communicate effectively, even when they don't communicate effectively. Like, you're modeling what that looks like, and you're creating that system, that belief system that they're going to hold with them for their whole life. So we only have a little bit of time. It's hard from ages 2 to 7, but it's doable. And every time I don't want to be as present, and I don't want to show up maybe because I'm tired or exhausted or overworked. I always think about like, I have until they're 7. I have until they're 7. Like, suck it up.
Yes, so true.
Yeah. So you said something earlier about like focusing on other things rather than just beauty. But I want to talk to you as someone who advocates for self-care and wellness. How do you personally separate beauty as a form of self-expression versus beauty as an external expectation?
Yes. Well, I think about all of the women I've interviewed for Naked Beauty, and most women I talk to put on makeup because they enjoy it. It is something that they like doing. It's whether it's like a meditative thing that they like, whether it's the way that they want to express themselves that day. If they want to do like a blue shadow or a red lip, it kind of empowers them in a way to show up as their best self versus, oh, I cannot leave the house unless I have a full face of makeup on. That I would say is like a disempowered relationship with beauty. There was this girl I was watching on TikTok yesterday. She was doing this whole rant, young girl doing her makeup. And she was like, I'm so sick of old people telling me I don't need makeup. I know I don't need makeup.
Not old people. Is she talking about us?
Yes, probably. She was like, I know I don't need makeup. I like putting on makeup. I like to do this. It's something for me to do. It makes me feel, girly. It makes me feel good about myself. And I think that especially like the younger generations, makeup really is becoming a tool for self-expression. It's like, I'm not contouring my face because I don't like my features. I just want a snatched and sculpted look. And I've learned how to use these tools and these colors to play with light and shadow and create this really interesting effect on my face. So there's a real artistry, I think, to makeup. I think there's something about the practice of putting on makeup that's so nice. And I think now as a mother, I really cherish it. Like, that time to get ready and take your time getting ready. You don't get to do that every day. Usually you're running around. So that's something that I personally enjoy. I think where it becomes difficult is, again, when you have that feeling of, I can't leave the house unless I've got makeup on. That's when I think it's time to reevaluate what your relationship is.
Right. Your relationship with makeup. I love that. So when you become a little bit more dependent and when you don't have it, you feel like you're missing something, like it's supposed to be a part of you rather than, so the language we use with our daughters, because I have girls, and so which is weird for me because, like I said, I didn't grow up in a house with lots of girls. And we kind of have the numbers right now. So when they come in and they talk about makeup, and my husband, when he talks to them about makeup, he always tells them that makeup is a way of enhancing all of the natural beauty that's already there.
I love that.
And so they're very serious about the fact that we like to wear our lip gloss because we want to enhance our lips.
Yes.
And not because we need to wear makeup. And when you talk about beauty and makeup as like a ritual almost, or and it I forget the word exactly that you use, and it also made me think of my girls and like the kind of community and the like they come and they're obsessed with watching me put makeup on.
Oh, they like
or if
watching
I have to get all dolled up, then they come and watch someone do my makeup. Yeah. And it is such a big deal to them, and they are so like curious, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is this what it's like to have girls around? Like we can like sit around and like do makeup together, and I'll put some blush on them, and they're so excited. And I feel like it really is a tool, and it really is something that kind of brings us together. So I really appreciate that. Just even in my own home. Let's talk about the industry.
Okay.
Because I kind of like to talk about relationships on the podcast, because we have relationships with everything. Like we said, we can have a good relationship with makeup or a negative relationship with makeup. Mm-hmm. Everything that we are connected to, we share a relationship with. But I want to talk about the beauty industry because I know that it could be challenging to navigate at times. I don't know why I know that, because I am a part of it to a certain extent. But the beauty industry can be both inspiring and incredibly challenging. Have you ever had to protect your mental health by distancing yourself from certain industry relationships or spaces?
I think when it comes to aligning yourself with brands or having relationships with other people in the industry, the vibe that you put out is what you kind of attract. So I think because people know what Naked Beauty is about, and because so much of my work is about embracing your own natural beauty, being authentic, that sort of attracts like-minded partners. So I find myself kind of the people that gravitate towards me naturally, there's already like alignment there. And I think that comes with just putting your voice out there and making it clear what you are about. In terms of being a Black woman in the beauty space, I think I've had to be really diligent about making sure that brands that I work with have diversity as a core value, right? In this, I just did an episode about DEI in beauty and all of the anti-DEI legislation that's coming out. And there are some companies that have DEI as a strategy. And when it's a strategy, strategies come and go. One season it's the strategy, and then the next it's not, versus a core value.
Right.
So I've been trying to figure out, okay, is this a brand that has diversity as a core value, not something that is a reaction to 2020 and that they've slowly phased out over the years. And there are really simple ways to do this. I mean, I can just browse on someone's Instagram feed, and if I go back far enough and they haven't worked with a Black model or a Black creator, that is something that does not feel like a fit for me, and something where I also use that opportunity to ask them why.
Right.
So that's really important to me, and that's, I think, goes to the core of finding partners that have the same values as you.
Right. And just like any relationship, like you said, what you put out there is going to come back to you. And I love that you brought up the DEI, because I feel like a lot of people have been very concerned about DEI. Obviously, it's not great in my opinion, but at the same time, if a company, whether there's a rule or some kind of strategy or something involved in having DEI, like you said, you'll know. And people aren't going to just, like, every company is not going to just stop hiring and working with people of color just because of a piece of paper, right? And so it's about kind of navigating that and figuring out what's what.
And doing your due diligence. Yes.
Yeah, doing your due diligence. So much of the beauty industry, or so much of the success in the beauty industry, is about relationships, like we were talking about. But not all of them are authentic. And I know that that's a big thing for you. How have you been able to navigate staying true to yourself while building professional connections?
I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. When you show up as your authentic self and it's clear what you're about and what your mission's about, I think you, again, attract like-minded people. So you don't have to kind of twist yourself up to be someone that you're not. So I think just staying true to who I am, the mission of Naked Beauty, that has allowed me to attract people that are on the same page.
I like that so much. I feel like Naked Beauty is such a niche.
Yes.
I mean, when I talk about or think about podcasts, it kind of makes me nervous now. I feel like there are a lot of podcasts out there, and it's hard to kind of keep up and follow, and you can't listen to everything, but obviously there's something for everyone, right? And so I feel like with Naked Beauty, you kind of really filled this void that was missing. And so can you tell me a little bit about, well, obviously you have a background in marketing and you understand this, but tell me a little bit about why you decided to move in this direction, because it's a little different than what you were doing before, right?
Yes. I mean, I'm really proud of the community that I've built with Naked Beauty over these years. And when I meet listeners, people will come up to me and say, I listen every Monday. It's such a privilege to be part of people's weeks. It's such a privilege to be part of their routine. And I created Naked Beauty way back in 2016 because I couldn't find this podcast. I wanted to hear unfiltered conversations with women about beauty and self-care. I was spending a lot of time reading Into the Gloss. If you remember the Into the Gloss interviews, they were like these long-form interviews with women about what was in their beauty cabinet, what skincare they were using, what their favorite home remedies were. But I couldn't find any audio version of that. Back in like 2014, when I was really, really, really into podcasts. I mean, the only podcasts I listened to Mark Maron religiously. I listened to Joe Rogan. And people hear those names now and they're like, Joe Rogan. But it's like, in that time, there were not podcasts to listen to. So I was just interested in these long form conversations that didn't necessarily have a specific structure. I was so drawn to the medium of podcasting. And then I remember just searching and searching for podcasts with women having conversations. A lot of times.
Oh, wow. Just women in general.
Just women in general. And a lot of times they were love and relationship focused or business and career kind of girl boss focused. And I was like, I would love to hear women talk about beauty and self-care. And I couldn't find it. So I said, let me start the show that I want to hear.
Right.
And then it just grew from there.
I really like that. Let's talk about podcasting then versus podcasting now, because I know exactly.
So different.
It's very different. We were talking about the fact that I do a video podcast, and that's a whole other thing. But so much has changed since you started.
Changed. Yes, so much has
You're
changed.
a mom now.
Yes.
You
work for myself.
You work for yourself. There are a million podcasts, and there's just so much that's constantly going on. You are launching beauty products. How do you manage to kind of keep everything aligned, number one, and on track with your ultimate goals? And then just keep yourself well mentally without overstretching when you don't have to. And you kind of just have this natural, calm demeanor about you. But I know it takes a lot more than just having a natural, calm demeanor.
This is such a good question. And I've been reflecting on it because I'm headed to Austin for South by Southwest. Are you going?
I'm not. I want to go.
There is the iHeart Podcast Awards, and there's a category that's Best Beauty or Fashion Podcast. I'm nominated.
Congrats.
Thank
Congratulations.
You. And I was last nominated in 2020. And so I think it's been 5 years since I was last nominated. I didn't win in 2020. But the podcast industry has changed so much, but I think it's for the better. When I first started, people did not know how to find podcasts. They were like, what's a podcast? How do I find it? I don't understand what this even is. And then two, like you said, people are able to kind of find their niche and find their community. So when I started, there were no other beauty podcasts. Now there's enough to have a whole category that changes every year with different beauty podcasts. So I think it's for the better that the industry is growing. Video certainly being a much bigger part of podcasting now than there was back in the day. But I really love to see the way the industry has grown and evolved, and the fact that there are really no barriers to the market. Like anyone can get a microphone and figure out your RSS feed and begin creating a podcast, which I think is great. And it's become more and more accessible over the years. So more voices is always a good thing. The hardest thing about podcasting, which I know you will agree with, is consistency. So how do you show up week after week after week after week? And the talking and the sitting here, this is the fun part, right?
This is the easy part.
This is the fun and easy part. It's all of the other work that goes into producing a show that you're proud of. And so for me, it has been staying excited about my guests, staying naturally curious, really feeling like every time I get to sit down with someone, it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to share someone's story that will help other people, so that I don't have that creative burnout. So I'm not like dreading the work, that I'm excited and energized by the work.
Because you guys have interviewed over 200 guests.
Yes, over 300.
Over 300.
Yes.
Which to me, I'm already feeling a little burnout just listening to you say that. What do you feel like has been, when are the moments where you're like, I really love doing this? Because Tamron Hall, I got to have her on the podcast. And I remember going on her show, and I used to be like, hey, this is really cool. Like, I love that they get to have all these conversations. This seems like a really great gig. And then I get there and I'm like, oh my goodness, like what we see on the TV versus what's actually happening it's wild. And I'm like, this feels like a lot. And I have so much respect for a television host, but even a podcast host. Tell me what has been like the biggest moment or the biggest like aha moment or takeaway from your 300 interviews.
Oh, goodness.
I know. If you can wrap it into one.
A takeaway, I'll give you two. I'll give you a takeaway from a guest, and I'll give you a takeaway from listeners. So whenever I do listener meetups, and I wish I could do more of them, I'm not an events person. So when I do it, it's very last minute. I just did a listener meetup in London. I put on my Instagram story, I'm going to be in London tomorrow. Let's meet at Hyde Park, bring a blanket and a snack, and let's all chat.
I love that.
And a bunch of girls just came and we all hung out, and no one knew each other, but everyone listened to the podcast and everyone loved beauty and skincare. So we all went around and shared like, okay, what's in our skincare bag? What's the sunscreen we're using? What's the lip balm we're using? There was such a shared sense of community. Anytime I'm able to do like in-person meetups where I hear from people, oh, I was inspired to start a brand because I heard the story of Giada, who started Ami Collet, who like worked at Sephora, worked at Glossier, loved beauty, and then wanted to start her own line. And now I'm starting a line because I heard her story on your podcast. Or I've just been inspired to think about my skincare routine differently from hearing people on your show. So when I get to hear from listeners, that really makes me realize, okay, I'm on the right path because I'm impacting people's day-to-day lives. And I think that's what makes it worth it. From a guest, recently had the chance to interview Dita Von Teese. Do you know Dita Von Teese? She's a burlesque star.
Ooh.
She's absolutely gorgeous. She's 53, I believe. But she talked about growing up in a very small town. She said she had, dishwater brown hair, and now she has this very kind of like black coiffed hair. She's always in 1940s and 1950s clothes, always red lipstick, always red nail polish. But she talked about how she created herself and how she had this kind of idealized vision of being a pinup girl. And growing up, she never knew she was going to be, like in Vogue magazine. She never knew she was going to have the opportunity she had, but she knew how she wanted to show up in the world. And she said, what you're born with isn't as interesting as what you do with it. And that really stuck with me. This idea that you really do create yourself. You could have bright pink hair down to your waist. You could have piercings. Like, we have so much free will when it comes to the way that we show up and that we self-present. And you do kind of create your own reality around your appearance in a way that, hearing her talk about it, and it really made me realize the people that I really, really look up to from a beauty standpoint have created their image. It's not just that they are like naturally born gorgeous. I mean, there are women like that too, but I think about what Dochi's doing with her
Oh my gosh.
appearance.
Love
I love
her.
that she wears the face tape, right? That's something that Grace Jones used to do in the 80s, but Dochi's kind of bringing it back. I look at artists like Chappell Roan. I think about even just like Lady Gaga or Erykah Badu, who always looks so eccentric and interesting. Erykah Badu is a gorgeous woman, but for me, the way that she puts herself together and shows up and expresses her art through self-presentation is what makes her special.
I agree with that. And I feel like just being able to show up and be brave and unique and just like embracing that part of yourself. And we, whenever you get the chance to kind of experience that and learn from someone like that is really great. It's very different. My husband is similar to that, except in fashion.
Yes, he's very fashionable.
Yes, you know my husband.
So it's so funny. I know nothing about sports, like less than
the
average person. You
don't need to know sports to know him.
But I know him because of fashion. Did he have like a Barney's collaboration a long time ago?
Yeah.
I feel like that's like why I know who he is. And then I've just seen his fashion moments. He's very I mean, you're very chic and fashionable as well, but
thank you.
He really takes risks.
He does. He takes risks. I've had to like it's a whole thing. Like as long as we're leaving the house looking like we're going to the same event, I'm happy because it could go either way. But yes, I've learned that from him and just how to be free. Like it's just the mentality and not really caring.
Not caring.
When you just don't care what other people think or have to say about how you present yourself into the world and it makes you feel good.
Yes.
It just there's so much peace that comes with that.
Absolutely.
And you get to just be it's peace, it's happy, it's joy, and it's just real. And I really admire people like that.
And those are always the coolest people, right?
Exactly.
Like, you think about someone like Lenny Kravitz, like universally everyone's like, he's cool. And it's because he's always himself and he's got, the rings and the nose ring and he's got his formula that he always shows up as himself.
Exactly. I love that. I feel like we align on so many different levels and it's really cool. And I think that even going back to the podcast conversation, it is important to speak to people that are like-minded. And even though on my podcast, we talk about a whole bunch of different things, I think everyone so far has come to this understanding of like love, self-acceptance, confidence, and all the core things that we really want to strive for.
Yes. And
so it's wonderful to hear you talk about that. I feel like we're so young and someone recently asked me about like a legacy, like what I know. It's a lot. And I'm not going to ask you a legacy question. It kind of is, but not like that. But I'm 30. I just turned 36. Like, honestly, I'm so in it. I'm not thinking about 15 years from now, 20 years from now. I'm trying to survive today. Like, I'm in the hustle and the swing of things like today and trying to enjoy my moment with my kids and be in the moment. But your work has given a voice to so many women who didn't feel represented in beauty. So how do you hope that your journey inspires others to embrace their own paths, even if they don't quite see them yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think about my decision to leave corporate and work for myself and work towards building Naked Beauty. So I would hope that some of my legacy is encouraging people not to find a seat at the table, but build their own table, forge their own path where there is no path, and realize that everyone who is successful has basically they've stepped out on faith, right? They've gone and done something without evidence that it will work out or not. I thought that my path was going to be a corporate path. I mean, I worked in corporate for 11 years, 12 years before working for myself. I never even thought that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I got to this place where, as I was always building Naked Beauty in the background, I kept getting these opportunities that were too good to pass up. And my side hustle was eclipsing my main hustle. And I really had to think about, okay, do I leave this career of like corporate?
Stability, corporate.
Yes, it's very
training.
cushy.
Like we went to school and like learned all this stuff.
Right.
Are we going to just leave it behind.
Right, right. So I think that building something net new, betting on yourself, building community around something that feels authentic to you. I do hope that that is part of my legacy and part of what inspires other people because, and that's why I talk about it openly as well. I did a series on Instagram, Building the Brand, where I talked about building my brand identity. I talked about building my team, who I hired and why I hired them, because I want people to know that it's possible, you can do it. I want my work to be a possibility model of what you can create for yourself, and that it doesn't have to exist yet for it to be something that's viable. You can create something out of nothing. I mean, no one knew who Brooke DeVard was, and a lot of people still don't know who I am. I'm building everything in real time through the passion I have for the work.
That's really important that you say that, because I did listen to your series about how you it was kind of like a how did we get here kind of moment.
Oh, when my producer interviewed me. Yes.
Yeah. And I loved one thing you said. You were talking about starting off when doing what you had the capacity to do.
Yes.
And I think it's so important because with social media and what we see, when people look at you and they see all of your success, they don't, maybe they know if they follow you and because you've shared your journey, but they don't know all the different steps that it took for you to get there and the time and just that steady growth. And, you know, a lot of people want instant success and they see other people doing well on social media, and it could be a little discouraging at times. And so I feel like if there was a moment in time or in your journey where you were like, I don't know. I just don't quite know if this is for me. And if so, how did you kind of push through that?
I think one instant success, just realizing what a lie it is. Like, I think that every single successful person has had to work hard. And I'm not saying fame or numbers. I'm talking about success.
Success, yeah. Which is also very subjective. Which is why it's not fame. And
Right.
Because a lot of people that are famous don't, the success part of it just depends.
Right. I think realizing that hard work is inevitable. I mean, if there was something you could do to be successful and not work hard, we would all be doing it, right?
Right.
We would all be doing it. I'm like, when can I not work? Like, that would be great. I'm ready for that. So realizing that the hard work is part of it, realizing that putting yourself out there before you were at your idealized vision and state of how you want things. I mean, I hear from so many people that want to start a podcast and they're like, oh, but I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the right backdrop. It doesn't matter. First of all, at the beginning, no one's going to be listening. So take comfort in that. I mean, that's real, right? Take comfort in that. And then I think people love to see a glow up. I think people love to see you get better with time. And to start at the pinnacle kind of robs your audience of getting to like grow with you. So I think that's just like a very important part of reframing how you begin versus where you want to end up. In terms of me doubting myself, I think I've had moments where I've been like, this is really hard, and I'm doing it also independently. So I've been able to build a community from scratch, from just working hard and consistently putting out what I believe to be a great product. But having those moments of being like, should it be this hard? And in those moments when resources allow, it has meant, okay, now I bring on an editor. Okay, now I bring on a producer. My early episodes of Naked Beauty, I edited every single episode myself on GarageBand. I didn't have any budget. I was doing this on the side, on the pre-kids, right? So I had free
a little
time.
Extra time.
Yes, a lot extra time. Every time I think about not having kids, I'm like, what did I do with all of my free time? I mean, I guess I started a podcast and edited it and produced it, but it's like the amount of free time we used to have and not realize it, right? Don't you feel that with kids?
I do.
Yeah, so I definitely have had those moments where I'm like, this is a lot of work and it's hard. And then thinking about, okay, what's the next goalpost that will allow me to offload some of this work and get additional resources so that it's not such a strain on me?
That's so important, the collaboration piece, when you're able.
Yes.
And knowing when it's time before you hit that burnout mark to bring in additional resources. And like you said, you know, when someone, like you said in your episode, when someone is on the way, like they're grinding and they're in a hustle with you and they're growing and expanding and they're wanting to do more, and that's where they are in their life, they make the best partner.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's going to be a good relationship when both of you are fully invested.
Yes.
It becomes tricky when there's not that balance, right? It can feel like, high school when one person in the group is not doing anything to contribute.
I hated group projects for this very reason. Yes.
Exactly. So that's really great. I feel like I want to know, one of the questions I love to hear or the answers I love to hear are about advice, but like the best advice that you've actually received rather than given.
The best advice that I have received. Oof. I mean, my mom is constantly giving me advice about everything. I mean, the thing that she always has like ingrained in me, whether I was working in corporate or working for myself, is to know my worth and to never settle for something that is less than what you deserve. Because she's like, any project that you agree to, you know you're going to give it 100%. Any job that is offered to you, you know how you work. You know you're going to give it 110%. So don't shortchange yourself on the salary or the fee or the rate, because you won't go into that work feeling good about it. And you have to know what your worth is. It's like almost like there's the budget and what they have, and then there's your worth. And those two are totally separate things.
Right.
And you have to get them to kind of meet in the middle. So I think she's really helped me and empowered me to say no when there is a misalignment there and walk away.
Yeah. I love that, when there's a misalignment there.
Yes.
When things aren't connecting. I like that. That's important. And I feel like so many of us have such a hard time with that. So it's really important to know that, you know, sometimes you walk away, but when something's not for you, there's always going to be something else, and it just wasn't meant for you.
Absolutely. And also like leaving the door open to say, you know, when you do have more budget in the future, please consider me for other opportunities, right? So they know what's expected in the future, and you can still keep that relationship warm.
Yeah. I think that's really important too. I feel like for whatever reason, the relationships that we nurture and the value we put on leaving environments in a healthy place, it doesn't matter what the working relationship is. Not burning bridges is so important, because everything comes back around, and you want to make sure, you know, you're leaving space for new opportunities always. And you know, I feel like it's just nicer to be able to have connections wherever you go and make those connections, maintain them, you know, along the way when that's what you want to do.
Yes. Because I mean, sometimes you'll see an offer and you kind of want to be like, what? I'm offended. I'm personally offended by this lowball offer. You want me to do X, Y, and Z, and this is the budget, right? But taking that opportunity to say, you know, for these deliverables, my rate would be in this range. And I also now have agents that help me with those conversations. So I love my team at UTA. They're very helpful. And they've also taught me a lot about how to properly price myself for the market. And just knowing that you have, and I think people get so caught up on like vanity metrics, but I know the value of my community.
Yep.
I know that people, you know, buy things when I talk about them. So if this is a product that I really love, and we're working together, and I'm going to create content around this product that's authentic and true to my experience, I know how that's going to manifest in my community seeing it and then going to purchase. So I should never shortchange myself.
Exactly. And that's the importance of building that strong community, and having them come with you through the glow up and all the other things. Can I, before we play, speaking of community, before we play Do Tell Card Game?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about? You brought me my beautiful...
Oh my gosh, the Naked Beauty fragrance. Yes.
Hold it up.
I'm like, where's my camera? Is it here? Am I here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's, orange blossom, green tea, neroli. It's also unisex. So you
Ooh,
and your
I love a
husband.
good, we share clothes.
Okay.
You like you say, my husband, I fight him when I catch him in my closet. I'm like, what are you doing? No, I haven't worn that. You cannot take my sweater.
Well,
so anyhow,
yes. Well, now you can
we'll
share
be
the
fighting over the fragrance.
Um,
Smells so amazing. Refreshing,
refreshing.
which is my vibe.
Very refreshing. Green tea and neroli are two notes that are kind of harder to find in fragrance. I was inspired by, we have an orchard here in LA, and I now, in this new LA lifestyle, now that I've left Manhattan and like the psychosis of that city, I would sit down, I would have my matcha tea, and we have an orange tree, and when it blossoms, the orange blossoms smell so good.
Oh gosh.
And I was just like, okay, these orange blossoms, this matcha,
it's doing something.
The woodiness, like how do I bottle this feeling of just ease and calm? I always tell people when you spray it on, I want you to feel calm. I want you to feel at ease. I want you to feel like fully embodied. And it wears differently on every person. So
it is. It smells so wonderful.
Thank you. And we're in Credo Beauty, which I'm so excited about. I just got the sales report. We are the second top-selling fragrance for them, which is great because we just got there.
Congratulations.
And last week we were the top-selling fragrance for the week, so that was major. And I don't know when this episode's coming out, but I'll be in Anthropology soon as well. So and I'm in 13 Lune too.
13 Lune, love that.
And then you can also order from modernmagicfragrances.com and find the Naked Beauty fragrance. But people, it's a blind buy when you could buy fragrance without smelling it. And every single person who has purchased it has reached out to me and said, I didn't know what to expect. I just trusted your taste, and I read the notes, and I saw that there was like bergamot and neroli and sandalwood and amber and musk, and it seemed like something I would like, and I'm so happy I took the plunge. So I'm excited about it. Now I'm like ready to make my second fragrance.
Yes, this is wonderful. Modern Magic.
Yes, Modern Magic is who I collaborated with for the Naked Beauty fragrance. So yeah, if you go to the Modern, thank you. Yes, the packaging I feel like is important too. Like you want something beautiful on your nightstand.
It's an experience.
Yes,
I love it so much, and I can't wait to use it all the time.
What's your go-to fragrance?
Baccarat.
Okay, Baccarat Rouge.
Yes,
that's a classic for a reason.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I just kind of lean towards classic all the time, but I like a good fresh spruce it up type of moment. I like Joe Malone also.
Ooh, I love Joe Malone.
But we're not going to talk about all the other fragrances.
No,
I just want to talk about
I could talk, and I do have episodes where I talk about fragrance for like a full hour. I could talk about fragrance with you for an hour.
Okay. Okay. Before you get out of here, we're going to play do tell card game.
Okay. I'm excited.
First of all,
I love games. I keep trying to get people together for like a game night at my house, and the people that are coming, they say they want a game night, but they're just doing everything else but playing the game. And I'm like, do I need to hire like a referee to get everyone in order? Because
what kind of games are you playing? Because I've been to parties where we played games, and it's a really slippery slope. Sometimes if the game goes on too long, people get disinterested.
See, no, I'm probably the person that wants the game to go on too long, and you're probably the person that's like, okay, we've done 3 rounds, let's move on. And I'm like, no, this is a game night. We're here to play games. And That's it. And then everyone else wants to chit chat with a glass of wine and talk. I'm like, no, we're here to game.
Organized party, organized fun.
Yes.
No, I love a game night. I'm pretty wild. Like typically,
are you competitive?
Oh, yeah. I played.
That's my problem too.
I played collegiate basketball.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I'm competitive. And so, even my kids, they're playing Uno. My daughter she is whooping tail.
Oh, wow.
And she's very serious. And if she loses, she's not happy. So we're working on it. But I'm sending you home with.
Okay.
I'm going to give you both because for your game nights.
Yes, okay.
I'm going to send you with the couples edition.
Ooh, love.
And then, but we're going to play the regular edition that you can play during, you can use either one on game night.
Okay, I'm excited.
But just pick a question. You can read it and answer.
Okay. Are you picking one too?
I can if you want me to.
Please.
But okay.
Okay.
Which one did you get?
Who are you with when you feel most like yourself?
I love that question.
Wow. So the first thing that my first answer was my husband, who
Ooh.
I've been with since 2012. We've been married for almost 10 years.
Amazing. Wait. When is your anniversary?
September.
Okay, mine is in August.
Okay.
So
For 2015, you got married?
10 years, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's all the only reason I was asking. Okay, go for it.
And he's just such an amazing like support system. He understands me. Like we always know what each other's thinking. So that was like the first thing that came into my mind. But I'm also thinking about, so my college roommates from Stanford are here in LA and we all will get together and hang out. And like we've been hanging out since our freshman year of college.
I love that.
And the fact that we still get to hang out now, and
there
like,
can be multiple people that you feel
Yes.
most like yourself with.
Yeah, so my girlfriends Amelia and Lila, and then my other girlfriend Abigail, who's been my best friend since I was 13. Like I feel so blessed to have these girls that I grew up with around me here. And so whenever we hang out, I really, really just feel like my true self.
That's really sweet. I love that so much. Okay, I don't like my question.
You don't like yours? What is it?
Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, I was going to
gonna
say,
cheat.
I'm curious what the one is that you don't like.
Oh, gosh.
Let me.
Okay,
let me-
so
can I see,
I'm gonna
can
answer-
I see what both of them are, and then
You can,
tell
and then
you-
tell me which one
I'll
you
tell
want
you which
me.
one I want to hear.
Like,
you
I mean,
answer.
they're both good questions. I just can't. I'm trying to think. I don't want to say like I got to figure out. So the first question I got is, when
What-
was the last time you felt butterflies?
Okay.
I feel like maybe I can answer that. I don't know. Butterflies?
I'm assuming you wrote these questions if this is your game.
I did. So I'm
I
a little
love
like
that you're stumped by your own question. You're like,
it's not that I'm stumped. I don't want to answer the question.
it's a private.
No, because I don't really remember. I don't know. I mean, maybe it depends. Like, and also I overthink things.
Okay, I get that.
So are butterflies the same as nerves and anxiety? Like for me, differentiating the two. But okay, I'm gonna go to like butterflies in a joyful way, and I'm gonna try to be. I'm gonna just say this. I'm not gonna go joyful. I'm gonna go real, and I'm gonna say it's kind of weird, and this is, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but when I just saw my husband yesterday and he like took his jersey off and gave it to a fan.
Okay. You saw the abs.
Yes.
And you were like, oof.
I'm like, what the fuck? It's so weird to me that he looks like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's hot. Like, this is great. And then
That's amazing to feel that way after all of this time, right? Like that you still get that rush of like, my partner is so attractive to me.
it's weird because you forget.
Yeah.
And we get wrapped up and swept up in life and kids. And I swear we have to plan, like schedule things to have conversations about what's going on at our kids' school.
Oh, of
or
course.
like what's happening.
Family meetings.
Yeah, like what happened with this kid and that kid the other day. And like we were talking about it. I brought something up and my husband, I forgot to tell him about something that happened last week. And he's like, I don't even know when did this happen? You didn't even tell me. So that's how quickly our conversations go and how busy how many things are going on. And so you just forget sometimes, at least I do. I forget that he's like the specimen of a human.
Right.
And it's so weird to me. I'm like, this is what I have to like deal with.
In that moment, did you tell him or did you silently admire?
It was on Instagram and I was very close to making a really thirsty comment. And
it was public.
It was, the video was on Instagram and it wasn't meant to be that.
Right.
It was like a wholesome moment.
I'm just giving a fan,
flew out from, I think, Korea.
And you were like ready to put like the tongue out flame emojis underneath.
Yeah. And I was like, this is not the moment. It's not appropriate. And then I forgot. And here we are. And I'm talking about it today.
Gosh. Well, tell him tonight.
He knows.
He knows.
Yeah.
Okay. He knows.
I'm going to tell him anyway. So.
Tell him anyway. Don't you feel like, I mean, anytime your partner compliments you, especially something as like vanity driven as like the way you look, it's like great. That's so appreciated.
We do that all the time, and it's obnoxious and kind of funny.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
And then your other question you got was, what does...
So, wait a minute. We're playing Do Tell. You're supposed to be answering questions, and I'm getting two questions today.
Sorry.
No, go for it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
What does having a good life mean to you?
You did say that you want to finish playing the game.
Oh, but you're not going to answer this one?
No, you just said that about yourself, though. You disclosed that you're the one who wants to finish the game.
Okay.
Okay, so what does having a good life mean to you or to me? Let's both answer it then.
Okay. Good.
Turning the tables. To me, honestly, oh my gosh, I'm just obsessed with my family and my friends. I love them so much.
Yes.
Like, I could cry thinking about how much I love them and just want to be with them all the time. They're like friends or family to me, community, and just being together and enjoying every moment that we can share that's having a good life to me.
Yes. To me, I reflect back again on my time working for other people. And I think part of what I'm really cherishing now is being in control of your own time. Being able to set your whole schedule. Now, I think that working for yourself, you actually work 10 times harder than working for someone else.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not having these like leisurely Wednesdays, like going to the museum, like maybe I thought I would if I didn't have, a 9-to-5. But having control of your own time is such a blessing. And sometimes I find myself getting in this like mode of like, I'm so busy. And it's like, if you're so busy, it is your own fault.
Right.
And you need to subtract and take things away. And I think about how good you feel on vacation because you're not overscheduled and like you come back from vacation and you feel so refreshed and you feel so good. And it's like, we can bring that into our day-to-day life, especially for people like you and I that are able to set our own schedule. And of course you still have, goals to hit and you still want to build your business and you can't be too laissez-faire. But I really feel like for me of having a good life is being in control of my time and how I spend it and where I spend my energy.
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Time is important and we can't get it back and there isn't enough.
Right.
So,
yes.
All right. Well, this has truly been
so fun.
So fun.
This is such a great show that you have and such great conversations you're having. And I think it's a testament to you as a host that you make people feel so comfortable on your show.
Thank you.
To share their story.
That. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Hopefully one day soon in the near future, we'll be bumping into each other and it'll be...
Yes. We need to do a game night. I'm ready.
Game night.
Yes, that's it. That's our next date.
I truly enjoyed that conversation with Brooke. She is such a pro. I want to make sure you all know her professionalism and her experience was on full display today for us here on the podcast, and I would like to acknowledge that. I also want to really just take this moment to reflect on something I thought was so important when Brooke was talking about building a community and knowing when it's time to sort of reach out and figure out how to add to her team and where she could fill in the gaps and the spaces to keep herself, from burning out or from taking on too much or being overwhelmed. And I felt like that's a really important lesson that all of us can really take from this conversation. It's just understanding and knowing when it's time to reach out and seek help, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your business and you're starting a new podcast. I consider myself fairly new to the podcast game in season 3. I've had the opportunity to partner and work with some really incredible guests and partnerships. And so that's been wonderful. But I just feel like this whole conversation was so authentic and it was so important for anyone starting out new in anything that you're doing. Don't be afraid to kind of put out there put your best foot forward and get it out there. And don't worry about, having to make everything so perfect all the time, especially if you're on the internet and you're a creator. Brooke was talking about, how we all want to be a part of the journey and witness the glow up. And so, anywho, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to comment, share, subscribe. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions that you would like me to ask future guests, or any questions for myself regarding relationship advice or friendship or career or anything that comes to mind, you can email us at dotellrelationshippodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on Instagram at Benet by Nina. Until then, just be well and take care.